Hello, this is Del Chatterson in Montreal. I'm an author with Crime Writers of Canada and the regional representative for Quebec and Atlantic Canada. I have written the Dale Hunter series of crime fiction novels about an entrepreneur in the 1980s computer business fighting crime and corruption to save his business and his family. And today I'm speaking with another Montreal-based author and a member of Crime Writers of Canada, AJ Fotheringham, author of the Lambs Bay Mystery Series. AJ, welcome to the opportunity to speak together and learn a little bit about writing, publishing, and Crime Writers of Canada.
Thank you very much, Bill. My books are set in a fictional community on the Eastern Seaboard. They're cozies, and there's no violence in them per se, but there's a lot of murder, there's a lot of mayhem, and a lot of mysteries to solve. And
Okay.
I love writing them.
What you described them as a cozy mystery, but how are they different from other cozy mysteries that we may be familiar with? Is there a personal connection to the stories or the location for you?
No, it's all purely fictitious. It's where I'd really like to be living. Instead of in Montreal. I love the seaside, the shore. I have a thing about lighthouses, and the sea has always been a very mysterious thing for me. So it makes sense that any community based there would be a great place for mysteries and all sorts of things going on.
You're not going to admit to it being based on a particular location that you know well, or?
No, actually it's not. It's purely fictitious.
Okay.
And no, you can't go there.
And you have how many books in the series now?
There's 4 out. There'll
Okay.
be another 5.
Another 5. That is ambitious.
There is.
Sorry, I see that in your series you do enjoy alliteration in the titles. I see the next one is going to be called Dancing at Dove Lake, and you started with Peril at Peril at the Point.
That's correct.
Very good. And tell us a little bit about yourself. And you don't have a connection to the East Coast. You grew up in Montreal?
I grew up in England.
Oh.
I immigrated here when I was 8 to New Brunswick, and my family moved here when I was 12. But when I was a child in England, we went to the sea all the time because we weren't that far away. It's a small country. So I think it got ingrained into my system back then that I loved the sea and the atmosphere, the rocky shores, going out on the wet sand, early in the morning, and then trying not to get caught by the tide coming in.
There you go. It sounds like the environment and the location are an important part of your stories in Lambs Bay Mysteries. Very
much so. They play a big part in what goes on. And for example, my main character, Hilaria Barton Cheswick, when she needs to think, she goes for walks on the dunes.
Okay.
Takes her dog with her.
It's interesting. And what's her experience in crime, or how does she get into the crime business?
When she graduated from college, she and her partner set up a business as a private investigation firm and security consultants. And she left after he cheated on her. And she came back to Lambs Bay and set up an internet-based research firm, which she runs from home.
So, I see. Okay. Interesting characters. Are there other characters in the stories that you find readers also relate to or enjoy, as well as Hilly?
I know one person tells me she loves the chief of police, Lester Spriggs, and they think he's really good. He keeps a good handle on things, tries to keep Hilly from getting herself killed all the time. Her sister Vesta is a really big character starting in book 3. She's everything Hilly isn't. She's a fashionista, and she never met a man she couldn't date. She also is an accountant, and she's really good at math. So she's a kind of an interesting character. And then there's their best friend, Brody, who owns property on the point where the lighthouse is. And he and his sister and other people in the community get very involved in the mysteries that take place.
Okay. It's interesting. Yeah. And they're all available in print and ebook on Amazon.
That's right.
Are they in bookstores or do you have them distributed elsewhere or can we
No,
buy on? Okay.
just on Amazon.
Amazon primarily at this point. Okay, well, that's good. I congratulate you. It's a very ambitious plan and a good accomplishment already. As I say, that's impressive reviews and they look well done. I haven't had the pleasure of reading one yet. There's too many books I have to read. They're in my own genre, but nevertheless, it's a pleasure to hear about the books. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. Yes, I congratulate you again, Anne. It's a very impressive accomplishment already with 4 novels out and an ambitious plan for another 5.
Thank you.
But tell us a little more about AJ, the writer. You've had quite a bit of experience in professional writing as well as poetry, I see, and other things. Can you tell us how the background all led to the Lambs Bay Mysteries and your skill at writing a good mystery?
Well, I loved mysteries as a child. I was a big fan of all the Cherry Ames, Nancy Drew, Bobbsey Twins, the Jack and Bill mysteries. I read voraciously as a child. So I guess writing mysteries was a natural outcome of that. I started writing when I was 9. I don't think I've ever stopped writing, but my parents kept telling me I needed a day job. So I parlayed that into journalism. And then I moved into public relations, corporate editing, corporate writing, websites, publications. And then finally into project management. So it was
impressive. Yeah. You started young. It's an interesting story. Huh? You remind me of Stephen King. He likes to boast that at age 11, he sold his first books, 2, at 25 cents each to his mother. And your mother was very instrumental in encouraging you and supporting you in your writing efforts as well, you said.
Yeah, she thought it was great that I wrote, though she always mentioned the day job thing. And she used to say, Anne, you need to be locked in an ivory tower so that you'll do nothing but write. So COVID came along. So I've been in an ivory tower for the last year and I've written 4.5 books.
Yeah, we don't like to admit it, but the COVID isolation and lockdowns have been good for us as writers to get on to the things that we can do all by ourselves, locked in our room.
It's the lack of things to distract you or allow you to procrastinate.
Yeah, that's right.
Most writers are very, very good at.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we should. I just read a book on writing that said, don't call it procrastinating or writer's block, call it thinking about your book, planning it, your book, preparing, you're rehearsing, it's in your head, it's just not yet on paper. So make good use of your time while you procrastinate was really what the advice was.
I write in the afternoons and I procrastinate in the morning.
Okay, that helps to have a schedule.
I get up, I read, I look things up on the internet, I fiddle around with stuff, whatever. And then, okay, after lunch, I have to write. Yeah. I have to do my quota of words for the day. And
I find that people ask me what's my routine, and I have to admit I don't have a routine. I just wait until the mood hits me, and then I make the most of those few moments when it really seems to flow. But you've had a lot of experience in different formats. Have you found that writing fiction is harder or easier, or have you been able to take some things you've learned from writing commercially or even poetry?
I think having had a career in the corporate side and being an editor, I was a freelance book editor for a while. It's taught me to be critical of my own work in many ways, so that I'll write a sentence and I'll say that's ridiculous and I'll fix it. I don't edit as I go along. I just write straight through, but then I go back and look it over and with a critical eye as to what makes sense and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Some people.
Yeah, that process is.
Some people write a book where they've got everything in there. Get up, take a shower, brush your teeth. It goes on and on and on. And you go like, is this person ever going to get out of the house? And in some books that works. But to me, it's she got up and went out. Well, obviously she did the other thing. She didn't leave house with no clothes on. But you've got to focus on what are the salient points that drive the story forward, and it might not be toothbrushing. So.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
No, in my own experience, I found it was difficult to go from writing nonfiction. I've written a few books and lots of blog articles and for advice to entrepreneurs, where it's important to be brief and to the point. Whereas in fiction, you got to set the scene, describe what he was wearing, what was the weather, and you think, wait a second, why is that important? And then you read James Patterson or somebody says, no, leave all that out. You got to keep it moving, keep the action. You got to make it a page turner. So it's hard to get the right balance between information, background, the social message, or whatever it is you're trying to, and make it an interesting read.
You have to find what suits you. Right. Look at what you like to read and why do you like to read that. And I picked up a book today, to an ebook, and first 3 chapters were all backstory. I mean, I'm still reading the book because I'm interested in it, but it was all backstory. Now, to me, when you start a mystery, you got to get in somebody's face right off the bat.
Yeah.
And,
I think you do learn a lot from reading. I agree. That's but I see you also do some coaching and editing of other authors. Is that a good learning experience for you, or is it more a transfer in the other direction?
It's both. As I said, I used to be a book editor, and I do a lot of workshops when I can. Right now I can't. The last one I did was I had a group of people here, and we did a brainstorming workshop where we came up with a fantasy novel.
Okay.
So we worked through the characters and we did exercises and things like that. And when we finished, we had the outline for a novel, and we had defeated the evil dragon. But, it was, I like to do things like that. It makes learning more interesting than sitting there lecturing at someone. So,
yeah, I think that's part of the value I find with Crime Writers of Canada, or any group of writers, is that you learn from each other. I've wondered many times about, and I've seen some efforts that are well done about established writers doing a joint project, a short story together or something like that. I think that must be an interesting exercise to really share the script and the character development, or share your characters and put them together in one story. That would be fun to do, I think.
I'm actually working with a member of my writers group. We've decided to try writing a cozy mystery series together.
Okay.
So about 10 chapters in, and we're quite surprised that we're picking up on each other's style, so that when we read it in group, people are saying, who wrote what? We can't tell the difference.
Oh, that's interesting.
Pretty good. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. So.
I notice you also, the Lambs Mystery Series you've done published yourself. Can you tell us a bit about that journey and how much fun it's been, or how difficult it's been?
Well, when I first decided to start self-publishing, a couple of people said, don't worry about it. We'll come over and sit with you when you have to put your book on Amazon. We'll walk you through it. COVID hit. I had to figure it out for myself.
Oh, yeah.
So the first book, I was tearing my hair out, but I finally managed it. I learned that when things weren't going right, or Amazon was telling me, no, I'd walk away and then go back later on. I had a few glasses of wine, but I finally got that book up there, and I was so proud of myself. And with the book, it's gotten easier. Plus they used to have to make 2 formats, for one for ebook and one for paperback. Now you just make the one and it loads to both. Which
I agree. Yeah, Amazon Kindle is making it easier all the time to publish books, and but I think that's good advice. Call on your friends and have a glass of wine at the ready for when they're not helping.
So. I found it's nice to know that I can put my books out there. I've met other published authors who are with traditional publishers who said, well, I have this book I want to write, but my editor says it won't sell, so I can't write it. And I think to myself,
yeah, that is the most,
if nobody reads it, that's their problem.
That's it. The best part of self-publishing is it's a lot of work and you have a lot to learn, but it's under your control. What you do, when you do it, how soon you release it, and how quickly you can get readers that you don't know or aren't family members or neighbors and friends who read it and tell you they like it. That's the rewarding part, that you really don't want to have to, if you can avoid it, wait on somebody else to say it'll be 2 years before we publish it.
Yes, I also find all the webinars that are out there and the sessions that you can do online. I'm learning a lot. And I'm a lifetime learner. I've always liked learning things. So, I've had to learn how to use the social media, this, that, and the next thing, and now I've been doing I haven't done the ads so far, but I just did 2 webinars on Amazon ads and Facebook ads and different things like that. So it's a lot to learn. Some days it's a bit tiring, but it's better than staring at a blank wall.
Yeah, that's it. Well, thank you. And I appreciate it. And it's been an interesting opportunity to learn from you for Crime Writers of Canada. And we appreciate having you as an active participant in our affairs. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.